So Temtem recently came out, and I am loving it, as opposed to the recent Pokemon that just released that is fun in its own right, but still lacks in a few places of its own. Now I was looking around on YouTube looking for something Temtem related, you know? Sure, the game just came out as of this Tuesday. It's Friday right now on the first week of its release. I don't know when I'll be getting this video out, but it will be soon, hopefully. So anyway, I was looking for videos of Temtem the game on YouTube, looking for something entertaining. Maybe a new way to find Lumas or something. I don't know, I'm just looking for anything to watch and have fun with. That was until I saw a review calling Temtem bad. It was a good review actually, a review made by Manga Kamen. Manga Kamen seemed to be a professional when giving criticism, considering that he is an artist himself. And I could actually agree with some of the problems that he has with Temtem. I will admit, it is not a perfect game. It lacks in some areas, but I still love it for what it is, and despite the fact that he doesn't love it, I could see where he stands. And I can respect that. I can respect his decision to not play the game at all. However, within that video, there was a recommended video. A recommended video by a very infamous figure within the Pokemon community, just painting a terrible image for the community and also himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Verlisify, the black and red fucking dog guy who's very shit at video games. So he made a video calling Temtem bad. Alright, you know, that's not that bad. Oh, what is this? And a heartless cash grab? Oh. Is it really? Okay, I'll be honest here. I couldn't get through 15 seconds of this video without having to stop and call a friend for help. And, we watched most of the video, and, I'll watch the rest by myself. But for the most part, let's just get to the main points, actually. The main points I want to make for my own video.
I don't know what's worse, Temtem the game or Temtem the community, because you're not allowed to criticize these little indie developers that are just trying to make a unique monster experience to rival Pokemon.
Now I get it, communities are fucking terrible. And yes, we will get a lot of bad apples. I mean, come on, just look at you in the fucking Pokemon community.
Oh, fuck!
Communities aren't perfect, and most of them are defensive, because they're passionate about what they love, which is, you know, the product. Also, don't fucking pretend that Temtem's the only game with a very bad community, quote unquote. You come from the Pokemon community, I'm sure you've seen worse. And within this video, the community doesn't seem as toxic as he's trying to paint it to be. In fact, some of the comments that he's shown result in him being completely ignorant. But you know what? We'll get to that later.
So I thought there was something here, but the more and more I play it, the more this feels like a heartless Pokemon knockoff. And I mean that in every way. This is a knockoff like something shameless that we would all hate as kids from the early 2000s trying to cash in on the Pokemon hype.
Well, you know, back then, there was not only Pokemon, but there was also something called Yu-Gi-Oh, I believe. And over the years, we've gotten more toy product anime game things, but really the ones I can think of at the top of my mind are Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan, Beyblade. Yeah, that's really all I could think of. If there's any more, please add to my list in the comments. So I don't see why now it's a bad time to cash in on what Pokemon is, or was supposed to be, or, you know, what we want.
I have so much to say. I know that most people aren't even going to watch the video to hear it, and it's valid.
Let's be sure to keep tabs on that and see how many points he actually brings up.
If you actually if you play through this game, you're going to feel the same emotions I have felt, because I think the best way of describing it is that there's no heart.
Now I don't know what you would consider heart, but it's definitely not in the Pokemon games anymore.
They made a game called Immortal Redneck. They don't belong in the monster capture space. That the $500,000 this game raised would have been infinitely more useful put on like the developers of Pokemon Uranium.
So it seems to me that he's saying that because these developers didn't work on a game that is sort of Pokemon related, means that they aren't qualified to make a Pokemon like RPG game. Well then, by that logic, let's go all the way back to Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Mario Brothers was a game that came before Zelda, and they are totally different games on their own. While Legend of Zelda is a top-down RPG, Mario Brothers is a side-scrolling platform. By that logic, Nintendo and Shigeru Miyamoto are not qualified to make something on the caliber of what Legend of Zelda is. So really, Nintendo has no rights to make their own RPG. Now, does that make any sense to you?
Really? I've been playing for over 5 hours, and I had no issues. But I guess now that people are waking up, servers are broken again because the developers don't care about this game. They're cutting corners. That was like a big thing. Now there's a queue again. They're clearly cutting corners here when they know how many people download the game. They know how many people are playing the game. They see how much interest is with the game, and they still didn't put the work that they need to put into with the servers.
We've pushed a quick hotfix, trying to solve the problems related to getting stuck in battles. Sorry for the unannounced disconnection. Wow, and that was 3 hours ago!
I think I've done like 8 battles, 10 battles in this cave. It just kind of shows that there's no thought put into this game. You talk to an NPC, they say, go to this place, and then there's 6 battles that just eat your time along the way that have no difficulty whatsoever. This is not a difficult game.
Is he talking about Pokemon?
The stamina meter does not add anything interesting or compelling to the game unless you count that the opponent can knock themselves out.
Sit right there, children. Daddy Shard is here to fucking teach you about the difference between the mana-based system in Temtem and the PP-based system in Pokemon. Now, PP are power points, and you can find these power points within the moves that you have on your Pokemon, meaning that the Pokemon that has these moves can only use them a certain amount of times within the numbers that these power points have. So let's say you have a move like Tackle, and it has 30 PP. You can only use Tackle 30 times until your Pokemon get healed up at a nursery, or until you give them something like a fucking ether or something. Now, with Temtem, each move has their own set of mana that they consume, and each Temtem has their own set of mana. The amount of mana that each move consumes drains that mana, which will limit the amount of moves you will use at all. So think of it like this. Pokemon uses an ammo-based system, while Temtem uses an energy-based system. You will be able to spam your moves within Pokemon more, rather than if you were to make a move within Temtem, which gets your brain thinking on what kind of move you want to throw out next, because you have to consider the factor of what move takes up how much of your mana. I guess you could say that Verlisify's oversight on this mechanic makes him have a small PP. I'm not sorry about that.
Like, the game isn't hard because if you're in a pinch, you just heal up until the opponent runs out of stamina and then you win.
Isn't that Pokemon? The healing, I mean.
That you're just non-stop stopped. You have no freedom in this game, and it's completely linear. At least when you look at like Pokemon Red and Blue version, you know, you could get lost in Mount Moon a little bit. You can go through some alternate paths in Viridian Forest.
Now that I had a surfboard, I could go within the waters. I can now explore a whole lot more rather than go to the second island. And lo and behold, I found another town. And lo and behold, I found another cave. And lo and behold, there's a fucking side quest within this water. There is a whole lot there. And also the linear path, yeah, that may be true. But, who else does that?
Like, if you just kind of broke it down, it's a straight line with like 10 battles and an hour's worth of like wasted time in the way.
That's Pokemon. That's literally Pokemon. If you watch this video without any context, you could blank out the screen and listen to what he's talking about. You will confuse what he's talking about with Pokemon if you've played Pokemon.
Like, if you want to grind, if you've already played every single Pokemon ROM hack out there, and you just want to keep wasting your time, not like if you don't want to progress anywhere in life, you can pick up and play this game.
If you don't want to progress anywhere in life, you can pick up and play this game. Aren't we playing games to not do that in the first place? I mean any game. I don't know about you, but I play video games to break up the monotony of life. And that includes Pokemon. I don't get anywhere with Pokemon.
This isn't going to go anywhere. There's not going to be like an epic Temtem competitive scene or anything like that.
I'm putting down my money right now. This Temtem game is going to have a big and exciting competitive scene. I could tell, due to the lack of randomness that comes with Pokemon, which is what the community wants to crack down on. What they want is a more balanced, skill and thought-based game. We seem to get that with Temtem. I kind of noticed that a lot of the mechanics within this game are sort of based around competitive. And I think they might be working, because I don't see any Ubers around, nor do I see any random chance moves. If you throw out a poison move, that's guaranteed to give you poison.
Then eventually the community's going to die, and it's just wasted time. So it's like, play a single player game. The $35 is better spent on pretty much anything else. Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC is going to like almost double the size of the game and give you another 100 hours of gameplay.
Oh, by the way, shoutouts to Mix Taffy, aka Bid the Beaver, aka the first person I ever met on the internet. We busted our asses laughing. You gotta pay $30 to buy the new Sword and Shield DLC, which is honestly pretty pathetic, because it seems like the game is gonna have, like, what, 2 more hours of gameplay? This game is $60. It's $60 fucking dollars. So you're telling me that you want me to pay $90 for a game and its shitty little DLC to put my time and money in? Yeah, I don't think so. I'd rather spend just $35 on a game that'll give me free updates with more content to come than just some little itty bitty shitty piss in a jar DLC.
This is just going to be hours and hours of boredom and meaningless grind.
Pokemon.
Your money is better spent for giving yourself a multiplayer experience.
My view is better spent watching any other video other than yours, but hey, I'm still here.
Than playing and wasting your money on this cash grab. Because it's just shameless. It's just shameless in how much Pokemon it is, but it does Pokemon worse because they have no experience. Like I said, they're not even Pokemon ROM hack developers. They're just looking at the community outcry and trying to capitalize on it with forgettable characters and a non-fulfilling story and gameplay loop.
You know, you make it sound like they made the game immediately after they saw the disappointment in people when they saw the Pokemon Sword and Shield trailers. This game was in development since May 2018. This game was funded for development within May 2018. And I don't know about you, but I don't think Pokemon Sword and Shield's trailers were released back then. Fuck, Pokemon Sword and Shield wasn't even announced till February 27th of 2019. I don't really see how Temtem could have capitalized off of the mistakes of Pokemon if they didn't even know what the new Pokemon would look like.
I could probably just go on and say effectively the same things all day long, but I don't know. This game offends me.
You haven't even really given actual points as to why the game quote-unquote offends you. All you've pointed out is just minor gripes that comes with almost every Pokemon game, but done in the way of Temtem.
And if people are upset at me, it's like, well, you're just a blind Pokemon fanboy. That's the person that this game is supposed to be targeting. That if I can be won over, if I can find something special in this, then that means it's done something right. But if this just comes off to me as a worse Pokemon every way, it's going to fail.
You know, you're not really the icon of the Pokemon community. In fact, Verlisify, I'm pretty sure you're pretty infamous within this community. I don't really see you as a glowing beacon that everyone follows when I think of the Pokemon community. But I digress. I want to avoid talking about Verlisify as a person as much as possible, even though I probably already failed that. But by the way you're talking about this game, it just seems like you're jumping on the hate train for no reason other than views. And oh boy, did you get views. You know, you got so many views that you disabled likes and dislikes. I wonder why. It's almost as if you only did this for only views and not good reception.
Another battle's coming up. Another 4 battles, and I haven't done anything. I haven't made it to the first gym yet. I've already gone through like 20 battles to get to this point. I've probably gone through like 30 battles to get through this point.
Ah, the early days of Pokemon.
Artificial time sink. It's artificial difficulty. That is not the make of a good game or anything like that.
Tell that to Game Freak.
Also should probably recover like my main carry Pokemon, the Crystal. So we can just kind of like, you can cheese the game. You can play it. There's nothing engaging going on here, guys.
So you're telling me you could cheese the game by reviving and healing outside of battle? It's like Pokemon could do that too!
So, I wanted to kind of go into like the excuses, because if you made it this far, that means you're just enjoying the rant. You haven't made up your mind about Temtem.
Yes, I totally haven't played the game and made up my mind about it.
Like, they raised several $100,000. They raised $500,000. They should be able to put out a product that works on launch. And then you're seeing like all of these Temtem fanboys just make up nonsense. So many people hate on Temtem, but they keep forgetting that's still an early access game in alpha phase. That's not an excuse. They felt that this product was ready to be delivered, and it's not showing to be that good.
You know, the product itself is actually pretty good. It's got its own fair share of mechanics within the combat and breeding system. It's got a fairly fleshed out variety or roster of Temtem. It's got a storyline too. And you know what? They're going to be adding more to it. The only problems that I saw that needed a lot more development were the servers. And even then, they're starting to get better because they're working on them because they care about the game. And let me tell you, all the hard work that they actually put within the main game would go to waste had the servers just stayed the way they are.
Even outside the server issues at launch, there's nothing interesting about the gameplay. There's nothing that makes it feel better or even comparable to Pokemon. It's so disappointing that you have this attitude towards the game at launch. You realize way more people than anticipated bought the game and tried to log in at the same time, right? That's not what happened. What happened was the developers tried to cut corners. They're already being stingy. They're already being greedy and trying to preserve as much money as they can because they are not putting the resources that this game needs at launch even.
You know, I was following in the Temtem Twitter ever since the closed beta. It's really insane and impressive how they actually put care and effort into the servers. We totally understand your frustration, and believe us, we're super frustrated too. We're going to try and solve the issue as quick as possible. If you don't want to wait until the game is stable enough, you can ask for a refund on Steam. These guys care not only about their game, but about their community. They are upset, they feel sorry, they're apologetic, and they understand if you want to uninstall. So, Verlisify, uninstall.
So it's only going to get worse. They have the sales numbers, they did a stress test, they had an alpha, and they still had no faith in the community.
It's literally getting better.
Their launch was a complete joke. We ordered some food for the dev team that has their mind focused on the hotfix and not being on hungry. We wanted burritos, but the place was closed, sad face. Nah, that's bad. That's not a good look, my dudes. That's not how you do it.
They literally said that they're getting food so that way they can work on the game. Are you stupid, or can you not read?
What part of lunch break don't you get? It's lunchtime now, so I'm eating lunch. Go to any boutique or bookstore in this country and you'll find out. No one can work on an empty stomach.
So, and it was also, they were being very, there was like long waits between the updates. We didn't get an update for like 45 minutes when no one was able to log in, and there was like 20,000 plus queues going on, and then their first response is, burrito place was closed. Nah.
This right here is the tweet, 1 hour before the game launched. This tweet was sent out at 11 a.m. And what do you know? First thing they tweet out? Today is going to be a rough day for our servers. If you experience long queues or lag, please be patient. We will be working our asses off today so everyone can have a good experience, but we're going to need to adapt. We will keep you updated through here and our Discord. This tweet was set out at 11:30 a.m., which is literally 30 minutes after the first few hiccups of the game. And you're telling me that the first thing they had on their mind was, yeah, the game launched, let's go get burritos. In fact, they seem to be putting out a lot of hot fixes before they even think about eating yet. Man, look at all this. Look at all these updates that they're giving to us within real time when the game's having issues at the start.
These people are cash grabbing, and they have very poor PR, unless you're actually stupid enough to fall in for that. But in that case, you haven't even made it this far in the video because you're a sheep anyways.
I ain't no sheep. I'm a cat. Dumbass.
I recommend trying the game when it's calmed down. I did. And it's actually worse than I expected. I thought there was going to be something interesting, but no, it's just battle after battle after battle after battle.
That's Pokemon.
artificial difficulty and time sink. There's nothing. This is a nothing game. And maybe take into consideration that it was a Kickstarter, not an excuse. And of course at launch day, it's not going to be perfect. That's completely false. Temtem, Crema, this is supposed to be different. This is supposed to be different to the AAA developers, Game Freak, and all of the other failed Kickstarters. How can you be different when you're falling into the same problems? This needed to be perfect. If they wanted to make a statement, they unzip, they slap that massive donkey dick on the table, and they go, check it out. Ours is bigger than Game Freak, and everyone just goes, holy shit. That's what needed to happen.
You know what indie means? Independent. They aren't really funded by a big company at all. They're more just funded off of, well, all the people that backed them up on Kickstarter. They may not have started by slapping the donkey dick on the table, but they just show that they're more of a grower, not a shower. If you understand that analogy, good. I'm not explaining it.
They could afford maybe some small screw-ups, but the thing is, it's a terrible server on, it's a mistreated server on top of a pitiful game. This game is no better than any other Pokemon ROM hack. This game is no better than any Pokemon game. It's no more interesting than any Pokemon game. They have this unfinished product, and sure, maybe it'll be quote-unquote good in 2 years. That's just the Kickstarter curse. That's the early access curse. This thing's going to be in early access for 2-3 years, and no matter what, it's never going to be a complete, better-feeling Pokemon game.
You really don't expect much from these devs, do you? Considering the fact that they worked their asses off within the past week trying to fix the servers and all of that stuff.
I mean, if we look ahead into where the game's supposed to go, the breeding mechanic's trash. Fertility. That a Pokemon can only breed, or a Temtem can only breed a certain amount of times. The inheritance looks terrible. It takes 25 minutes to get an egg, 45 minutes to hatch the egg, and then that's it. So
yeah, I will admit, breeding is more of an acquired taste that not many people are going to be really fond of. In fact, I believe breeding is one of the most controversial things within Temtem. But I believe that over time, people will get used to it and start to understand and get to know it a bit more.
There's not going to be a competitive scene. What Temtem needs to do to have a competitive scene that can rival Pokemon is to just give you access to all the Temtems. Like, you go to the final battle facility, and then it's just a simulation. Or, something where you just set up all of your Temtem, you make it exactly how you want, and then you're ready to battle. The breeding is not, people are like, okay, actually, let me find it. I think I had a comment about this. Oh yeah, we have A-Shill right here. Game's failing. A-Drive's still trying to support it, to get all those people on with him. Come on. Here we go. Breeding is way more in-depth. Because that's what Pokemon fans want. Because that's the biggest complaint you hear from about Game Freak and Pokemon games, that the breeding doesn't take long enough, that the breeding isn't complicated enough.
So here's the thing about competitive Pokemon. My friend, Bit the Beaver, aka Mixed Taffy, my friend's gripe with the online competitive scene in Pokemon is that people hack in their Pokemon, which seems to take out the hard work and unfairness out of, actually breeding your Pokemon and making sure that they have the right abilities, personalities, and IVs or EVs. I don't fucking know.
We have some positive comments though. Now that Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC has been revealed, I don't feel like I need this game anymore. Exactly! It's a $35 game!
It's a $60 game! With the $30 DLC! That's $90 I could use to wipe my ass with.
But yeah, also people are talking about how it's like, well, other MMOs, those have problems at launch. No, most of them actually launch just fine. Even like AAA games and stuff. People trying to compare it to WoW Classic, they don't realize that Blizzard hates WoW.
But still, by your logic, since Blizzard is a AAA development team, then WoW Classic should have ran good regardless of whether Blizzard liked it or not. You seem to think that Temtem's developers don't like or care for Temtem, and yet the game should have still ran better than what you expect, even though the developers of Temtem do care about the game and are making it better even though it had a rough launch. Your logic is confusing even me as I'm speaking this.
They took down private servers. They said for years they were never doing a classic server, and then when they did, they didn't give the WoW the WoW Classic servers enough resources.
We're not going to show proof of that? No? Okay.
This wasn't like an honest mistake from Blizzard. This was Blizzard just being spiteful that they can't best their older creations despite all the new things that they're trying to do. And you can see that in what Blizzard did. They stole, well, quote-unquote stole $500,000 from a tournament.
Now, I read what he's showing here on screen. This has nothing to do with the launch of WoW Classic at all. This doesn't really prove that the developers of WoW Classic really didn't care at all. This is just a scam that Blizzard pulled in the middle of a WoW tournament. Even then, Crema hasn't really done anything on the caliber that Blizzard has done at all. In fact, they still are fixing the game, like I've said previously. So that's all I have to say. The video ends there, and he's made a few more videos that basically cover the same quote-unquote points that he's made. These aren't actual points, by the way. These are just grasps at straws. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not watching any of his other videos talking about this game, and I encourage all of you to not watch his videos as well, because from what I see here, he does it all in one take, and believe me when I say that it's very boring and he puts no thought into it. Anyway, yeah, I hope you all liked it. This has been the longest video that I've made as of 2020. I hope you all have a good day and buy this game and enjoy it for what it is. There's gonna be more coming to it soon, and I'm excited for it. Love you all. Goodbye.